Hello and welcome to the Juice Podcast. This is where we learn how ordinary people can turn the struggles and hardship of life and turn it into something amazing. I'm your host, Peña, and my co-host for today is Eman
Howdy.
for the previous episode. So he'll be my co-host for a few episodes and we'll see how it goes. And for today's episode, we have our good friend Melvin,
Hello there.
or only known here in the server as Artemis. So,
Wow, yes, a girl's name. It's because of my D&D character, isn't it?
probably.
D&D.
So, a bit about yourself, Melvin. Can you tell us a bit?
Uh,
Yeah,
I'm just
those who don't know.
I'm just an ordinary student. Everyday student, working hard. I have multiple talents that I don't capitalize on.
Talent.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Oh dear. I'm an Asian male. What's this? A date interview? I'm 5'10".
Can you
5'10",
put your
5'11".
Can you put your security number here? Thank you.
Mhm. We'll check that, please.
Mhm, mhm.
You're in college now, right?
Yeah. Wait, aren't you two as well?
Well, some of
Yeah,
us.
but enough about us. Yeah, but enough about us. Enough about us.
Don't put me on
We
the
could be
spotlight.
working though. That's
Yeah,
why.
it could be working, but as friends, I know you don't. Even
So
you do.
for the people who don't know, course are you currently in?
Back then, I think back then it was computer engineering, but then I shifted to psychology now.
Ooh, that I didn't know. Why the change though?
Why the
change?
change? Why the change?
Curious, like
The change was interesting. It's something like computer engineering was something I wanted to do because my friend was interested in back then. High school was what my friend was interested in. I'm very aimless when it comes to a goal. So I didn't know back then in senior high school what to be, and then later only until when I was in the middle of college is when I actually found out what I'm good at and what I wanted to be. So psychology was the one that I wanted, and with the support of my parents, who I'm very lucky to have, allowed me to do the switch, and the switch began. So yeah, trying to we'll make up for lost time.
So how many years were you in like IT?
It's like computer engineering. It was like second
Computer
year.
engineering.
It was in the middle of second year. About middle of second year, I almost catched up, but then later quarantine hit, which made it so difficult to study in the course that I was in. So then I had to switch because it was to me it was too difficult, and I could never pass that. I could never pass those subjects without without other people teaching me, nor actually being there to see. Not only that, there was this very one confusing subject that I could never pass alone. If I had no friends there, then I would most likely be stuck there for like what 7 sems, and that's not what I wanted.
Why does the psych though? Like you came from like an engineering course, let's say engineering course, to a sort of medical course per se. What made you
It's no,
that push?
it's a bachelor. It's a science. It's more about like a bachelor of science in psychology, which is not it's not more medical, but more trying to understand people. It's like another form of engineering, but instead of creating something, you're trying to solve something or understand something more. Why the switch is because when I had my entrance exam towards college, especially in like Mapua, which is was my original college I was supposed to go to. In Mapua, I had like a list of subjects that I qualified on. But it was a very long list that I qualified on when I did their entrance exam. But one thing that caught my eye was Bachelor of Science, Science of Psychology, which was the one that what I was interested in, and was on what was in my head. It was like a goal. It was a goal back then in college. When after I go with computer engineering, I would study for psychology, and that's where I made the switch. Because psychology was the one that actually stuck with me.
Oh, but how did like psychology influence your day-to-day life?
How did psychology influence my day-to-day life?
Yeah.
It didn't. It didn't influence much. From what I could tell. But certain psychological knowledge, for in terms of like psychology, or people who study under psychology, develop psychology, like Sigmund Freud, all of those guys. In terms of my understanding now on the human, on human and how people work, on how people, I interact people with more of a slight caution. And then, but if I am certain about a certain person nowadays, I am more firm towards them. I'm more firm towards my actions, and it helped me myself a lot better when I was when I struggled with in myself, and yeah, it just helped me a lot
Mm.
when it comes to
'Cause-
interacting towards myself. That's yeah.
So you would see yourself as a different person compared when you were like the world where you had like computer engineering and stuff compared to psych. It's like different worlds.
It's not too much of a different world as per se. And so when it comes to computer engineering, when you're trying to make when you're trying to do a program or programming, it's almost the same gist. It's almost the same gist because you're trying to understand how certain programs work, how certain commands work. But then in psychology, instead of a more like trying to figure out type of stuff, you're given like actually these books, these chapters. It's to me what I could say, it's more material given, and it's a very different. Obviously, it's going to be a very different topic. It's just that the way the learning experience between the two is, it's pretty different.
Because there's like a bunch more load of like philosophy and how the human mind works. That's how like I think you could at some parts of that, like computer engineering stuff, like the pre-planning stage, and how certain like AI per se works, and how you could also relate that to how psychology works, right?
Yeah, that's how psychology works. Sometimes because how I see psychology is how I see the difference between the similarities between psychology and the psychology and computer engineering is more of your own thought process, how you parang perceive how you perceive yourself, and how you perceive, how you understand certain commands, and you kind of help yourself more. You kind of develop yourself more psychologically about yourself. And but in psychology, you're more or less trying to you're more or less trying to understand the general gist of how a brain, how certain people thinks, how certain people works out, how certain people thinks about certain of a specific topic, how it agitates them, how it affects them, all of that jazz. It's more about general speaking, but it's not too much different. The two subjects, it's just that one just focuses more on something else, and the other focuses more on another thing. But the thought
Mm.
process between the two is more is a lot to be at least per se. It's there's some similarities.
Mm. Psychology is like bit bit heavy when it comes to the learning and stuff, and especially
Yeah.
for computer engineering, it's like loads of math. Do you keep motivated?
Yeah. The one thing similar there is that on both subjects is that the teachers parang observe the teachers observe your understanding on what to do or what to think about. So the similarities there is more of on your own thought process on how you perceive or understand certain questions, certain situations, certain instructions given. Um, yeah, that's about it. That's about it between the two subjects. But that's only where the similarities end. The
Mm.
the only in the understanding part. Only the understanding part. The mathematics and psychology is not too different, but then later what they focus on are different.
Mm. First, let's say psych. What's your biggest inspiration, though?
My biggest inspiration in psychology.
Yeah.
I think my biggest
Do you-
inspiration. Wait,
Mm.
dude. Are we talking about like person or event? Which one?
Your own world. Who's your like inspiration? Because for in my end, why I chose nursing is because the para rescue jumpers in the
Uh huh.
military, the
Yeah.
PJs or what they're known for. That's how I like the idea of their motto of how we save their people rather than they save themselves first. That's how I got inspired on how to be a nurse per se.
So
How about your
what inspired
inspiration?
me? What inspired me on taking psychology is more of taking care taking care of myself, giving myself some more security. But also, what also inspired me was other psychologists talking about certain topics, their validity. That's now obviously it's their perseverance and their persistence towards being a psychologist, developing their skills in psychology into actually knowing what to do, knowing what to say. To me, because every time when I tried to help people, it was more of just trying to help people as well, trying to understand their
Yeah.
problems, giving them an answer and their solution, and how their thought process. The one thing that stuck to me and why I chose psychology is that a person told me while I was trying to help them understand was that you're not a psychologist. You don't know you don't know what to do. You don't know how to help me, even though if you tried. And then I was trying to be their friend, even though they are my
Yeah.
friends. And then obviously that stuck with me along the way, and that came along. That came along with me. One of my biggest inspirations in trying to understand psychology and psychology and philosophy is Jordan Peterson, one of the best people out
Hey.
there. Ever since that meme blow up about him like owning a girl, or owning a female reporter, on not television, be like,
Feminist, right?
feminist, trying to sway words because a lot of people nowadays, have a goal, right?
Mm.
It's more or less a good goal or a bad goal, but they no one thinks about this, huh? If I want to better people, I should say this and say like that. No, there's no such thing as everyone wants that. Some people really do want just click. Some people wants to get certain things out of other people just to just to get this certain form of trend or some or benefit once they do. Once they get what they want, and it was very what do you guys? It was very interesting to watch the entire interview. I think it was like 1 hour long. Was it 1 hour long or two or more than that?
You endured
It
the
was
process.
yeah. It was like so long, and then like it was funny because with my knowledge now with psychology, like I keep seeing I keep seeing like certain words. It's not like, oh, I'm an experienced person of um of this certain event that I know what
Yeah.
the person that I know what you're trying to do. It's not like that when it comes to psychology. You
Yeah.
instead of like, oh, I feel like what you're doing is like this and like that. It's just that you are given more options here and there. You're given more options in what they're to know what they're trying to do or what they're doing. So it was
Mm.
very funny to be like, oh, what's the angle of what they're trying to ask? You know, psychology really helped me in like understanding what a person is doing while they're what a person is trying to do while they're in a conversation with someone. It was a
Mm.
very it's a nice tool to have when it comes to psychology. Obviously, there's this meme going on about psych students about, oh shit, oh you're this just because you're like a oh look, I am a first year psych student, I can dissect people
Yeah.
in the internet and then I can give my own judgment about them. There's this constant there's that constant joke and meme about it on the internet
Really?
somewhere. I'm not joking. It's an actual thing. It's an actual thing, and it's just so bloody interesting. It's so bloody funny to uh, see. But then later, that joke is not even too far from the truth. Where yeah, if you're a psych student in first year, you do know a lot more, but it's just not the thing. It's just not as what you think.
Mm.
What we know in first year, most likely, it's most basic types of psychology. Who are the psychologists? What they study under, like Jean Pagan and
Yeah.
Sigmund Freud and who
Other great people.
the other great people out there. It's been summer vacation. It's been like what 2 months 2 months since I last studied it. So yeah, my brain is not that fresh. Some part of my
Mm.
stock memory, but yeah, it's all of those guys. You mostly learn all of these guys. Now the second year now is when you're trying to actually learn other people. Now, not only that, the college that I went to has this like religious subject, but they're not even enforcing religion on you. They're
Oh.
not even. It's very interesting. It's very interesting because this college of health and science, the one I'm
Yeah.
going towards to, they do have this religious side, but they never enforce it on people. They even advertise people from the LGBTQ because we're in psychology. LGBTQ, we're trying to have this understanding. We're trying to have this. We don't want to go. We don't want other people to use their own prejudice to judge other people. We don't want other people to like
Mm.
discriminate on others people, which is very interesting to me. Like
Right.
people talking about how LGBTQ is normal, but then the school is religious. It's just
Mm.
interesting. It was
Very big
interesting to
contrast
me.
right there.
Yeah, it's a very big it's a very big contrast. So the idea of religion being this whole big bad guy for the LGBTQ to me is just not true. It's just not true. Um,
Why
it's
is
just that
that
yes, yeah, it's not that true. They're accepted. They're accepted in certain groups of people of religion, but
Mhm.
but always always understand caution when it comes to those things.
Mhm. 'Cause You,
Uh,
you don't want to mess with those community because they'll
yeah,
fight back.
they're very hectic. They're very hectic. And it's very funny because the argument of the both atheist and the Catholic one be like, oh, the Bible says this type of thing is
So
not
and so.
allowed.
Yeah.
Either gay people or other religions back. But then later the atheist also tries to get something from the Bible and try to rebuttal them. But then later,
Mm.
what they try to rebuttal be like, oh, isn't like all this and like that. Oh, you're not allowed to eat this certain things. You're not allowed to eat certain of that. But then later,
Mm.
uh, me being a person, because I've read the entire. I don't memorize the entire Bible, but I have read the entire Bible. I'm not that religious of a person myself, but
Yeah.
back then when I was had nothing to do, Asian mom, like Asian mom type of jazz where oh
Asian feels, yes.
you got this grade, you're not allowed to do this and that. And so one of the few books I had was actually a Bible because I had some like
Kind of Bible though.
yeah
Catholic
uh,
version or the
the Catholic.
the Catholic.
Obviously, I had I had to attend catechism back in the day, but then later not anymore, and all that jazz. Yeah, I was one of the people who was part of the choir, all that jazz.
Oh,
Um,
you sang too. Wow.
yeah, I do sing. I do sing. It's just that
Interesting.
I just do it on my own time now. I just sing on my own time now. I don't sing for someone. I used to sing for someone, but no more, not anymore. Uh,
Mm.
all that religious jazz out there.
Yeah.
It's just like um, it's not really that true. It's not really that true when it comes to religious people hating on other people. And also, going back to the Bible argument about earlier, it's just that both sides of the people who are referring to the Bible, both atheists and Christians, who are trying to debate between which one is right, which one is good, they're both dumb. It's a dumb argument. People keep referring to the Old Testament. It's not like there was like there's not like a version where there was a revised thing where a lot of things were allowed. I don't know why people keep referring to the Old Testament. It's called Old Testament for a reason. The New Testament allowed a lot of things. Certain like other getting along with other religions, getting along with different people, and eating certain things again. It's just that both sides are stupid. Both sides are stupid. And when it comes to arguing about the Bible, because they're arguing in the Old Testament, it's like saying you're a racist person because you're white and we're still in we're still in the 1800s.
Mm.
It's just that stupid. It's just that stupid. It's not like
It's
not modern day.
aggressive.
Yeah, it's just like not modern day people are more accepting. Modern day people are more, great nowadays. They're not, tolerant and whatnot. It's not like we're not going to like to the new things. We're always stuck in like this old references that we think certain things are bad because they were said older, and then it's just not good. The revised version of the Bible, which is basically the New Testament. Which had the new recordings and whatnot. It was more or less undermined because people tried to refer to the past way too much. Like they tried to refer way back to the past. When they try to renew something, it's just like way back in the past. Not only that, they always find the negatives of certain things. It's just generally speaking now as well. It's not just in the religion. It's just that every time when a person tries to remember something or tries to find something important, it has to be negative because it's material against the other. It's just very interesting to me.
And that's really like big. How do you say this? A big bump in the road where like all the good things that you have done, especially for friends, let's say, like, oh yeah, I did this for you, I did that for you, oh I helped you with this. Later down the road, when something bad's happened to you and your friend, the same person, like, oh yeah, you did that shit that you did for me, that was really wrong, and they remember that it stuck inside them. Like, why do you have to remember the negative stuff?
Yeah, and also it was bad. It was years ago when like more than or less we went
It's a
through
long time
other
ago.
things worse. It's just because you and me had like a problem now doesn't mean you have to bring up problems that was before because that was in the past. Not only that, I did some stuff for you, which I did some stuff for you, not to you, for you that benefit you as a person now, which is just which is in psychology. It's just a normal thing. It's just something that everyone does. They try to think about the negative things. Like like my brother. We did when we were younger. We didn't get along. But now when we're older, we're more tolerant. I'm more like this friendlier type of person now. I'm not this type of jackass that I was back then.
Oh boy.
I'm more of a person who's more matured in a way where I'm still friendly and I'm still a little bit childish, but more mature when it comes to thinking and how I treat other people. Well, meanwhile, my brother be like, oh yeah, he matured more physically, and he's like, he's going to the gym and all that jazz, and all that jazz. Pero his mindset is still that of when we were younger. He still doesn't like me because of all that jazz in the back. And not only that, not only that, bro, he was the favorite child. My mom and dad won't agree. I won't admit it, but he was the favorite child back then. He had all the benefits. He had everything. Whatever mistake I did, obviously he learned from it. Dude, the advantage of not being the older brother, of not being the
Youngest.
of being
Youngest
the
brother,
youngest is just so fucking good because imagine like your older brother fucks up, you learn from it. Your older brother makes a mistake, you learn from it. Your older brother has learned a few things, you ask from him and then he teaches you. Bro, imagine that, bro. As an older brother, there's a lot of things on my plate. That I can't, like, you can't afford to you can't afford to be less than what more you could be. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. I could relate to you that because I'm a older brother myself.
Everyone here, most people here is the older sibling. All right.
Yeah.
Most people here are older siblings. Some people are only child, which is lucky for you because not only your parents have to pay less because now obviously when we're older we already not financially we understand things financially now. My parents had so much things to pay for. My especially my dad works the hardest. And,
the father of the family.
Father of the family. When he's one of my inspirations as well, and why I always do my best. Because my father's a great man. My father's a great man. He raised he raised me right. He raised my brother right, and he really loves my new youngest sibling, which is my sister. Yeah, she was born like nearly a decade ago, right? Yeah, she's born nearly a decade ago. It was. I don't know, I've seen my father's love firsthand, and I've seen my father's love towards my siblings on the other hand. Oh, he's the one type of person I really want to be in the future when I grow up. Someone who's reliable, dependable, and all that stuff.
Because every day, or let's say in every relationship, there always should be a person that is dependable and trustworthy.
Yeah. Back then, kasi when I think about this, all of this jazz, especially when I was new to the LGBTQ, especially the first group that I joined that has the LGBTQ type of who had a more diverse LGBT type of group was a Undertale fandom, which back then was so good to me. For some, the concept of certain characters kasi in Undertale was really good to me. It's really well written, especially made by one person. That's why I think it was a lot more special. That's why I think the characters were more special because it was made by one guy. It was not made by like a story writer. And then there's the developer and there's the designer out there. No, it was just made literally by one guy. And what drew me in about the characters there, because it challenged the human psyche about certain things, how you understand things, which is so funny to me because in the psychological aspect, everyone sees Chara or Kara as as the bad girl, meaning she's the one that's influencing us. But then by the end of the time is that we didn't influence Kara didn't influence us to become bad. It was us influencing Kara to be bad. People tried to skim through this psychology, thinking that Kara's this mean bad girl from Undertale. But then no, it's us. It's the players. It was the mean bad guys who broke the mind of a young girl whose soul was trapped in the body that we control, something like that. It was a good psychological story and puzzle to figure out. It's just that what's funny to me is just that a lot of people tend to tend to forget that or undermine that idea about that character. Anyway,
but anyway, like those communities, let's say, would it be, how would you see it in the future?
Oh, which one? What do you mean communities? How do you think? Like fandom
Like,
communities?
like the, let's just say LGBT community in the
Oh,
future. Would you
yeah.
see them as
How
in
I
the
think
future?
I think they'll be integrated well in the society. It's normal. It's normal to love people in the different way. The only issue about the LGBT community that I have a problem to is that their assertiveness to people. It's just way too much, and not only that, they for some reason the genders are doing mitosis. There's so many of them. It's just
Like
multiplying everywhere.
they're trying desperately to be unique. Like that's the bad thing about them.
Yeah,
Like like
there's no problem about being
yeah,
unique. There's no there's
yeah.
but there's no
There's
also
But
no
trying
problem
to
about being similar. Yeah.
Mm.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with being like someone else. But the problem is, in our day and age where individuality is put on a pedestal and everyone wants to be different from one another, we end up being much more destructive than actually proactive, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate.
That's why
Yeah.
when it evolved throughout like the years past, it made me like really confused on how it should be done, like how things should be, like how
Not
many
only
genders are there, or how
yeah
many like
yeah no,
subgroups.
not only that, they people try to be like affirm what they are. They be like, I am this and I am that,
Mm.
but then later, um, but then later they change, and then they be like, oh, like this and like that. It, it's just so confusing. Like I've dated an LGBTQ member. It was not easy. It was not. It was not easy. It was not easy. It was more psychological damage to me than it was to them to like trying to be comfortable anywhere else. Like,
Mm.
sure, yeah, I'm a guy who allows you to do stuff, and I had my own like political points of views, but it doesn't mean that I am completely no just because I say this side. When my girl, a girl who's from the LGBTQ that I dated, when she found out that when my political lining was more of a centrist, she dumped me because of that. I'd be like, excuse me, why? What did I do? It's because that my political sense of this is not the same as yours, because she's far left.
Uh,
She's far left. Her political mapping is
mm.
far left, and she doesn't like a centrist. And I'll be like, and I experienced firsthand on what the memes of saying like how far left or right people are. They have a common enemy, which is the centrist
Yeah.
people who really want other people to get along. Here's the problem. I'm not that much of a person who supports pro-choice. I'm not a person who supports like, oh shit, pro-choice is like this and like that, all of that jazz. That we should do more for pro-choice. I'm more of, I don't think abortion should be used lightly. If it's a person who is in need of abortion, for example, a rape victim or a person
like
or a person in a very or a person in a very low economy status, a very low class person who has a problem and can't support themselves and they can't support the baby.
like financially.
I understand that. I understand it for the abortion, but the one thing I don't like about abortions is that it takes away consequence. It takes away consequence from reckless people.
And the responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility as well. It'd be like, but but we don't want young preteen women to face motherhood that early. Hardships and their family struggles, all that jazz. There's a condom for like 20 for like $5 or
Yeah,
like at
like
least one
there
buck.
isn't a law in any state in the world that prohibits you from using a condom. You can literally
Yeah.
get them from any
Mm.
convenience store.
Yeah, now in Middle East you get that more in the Middle East you get more of them in the pharmaceuticals, and then like everywhere else in the world that's not too religious heavy, where they ban like contraceptives. You'll most likely get them. The guy has to be more responsible. The guy needs to be responsible. If you are expecting to have sex with your partner, in any shape or fashion. This is not just for this is not for the safety of the girl, it's safety for you because it's more hygienic in your end. You have a lot of ways to prevent to prevent underage parents. You have a lot of ways. You have a lot of ways. So there is no need. There is no need to have like this abortion because all the jazz. If let's say for example, the contraceptives doesn't work. There's something contraceptives broke. Contraceptives broke. Oh, obviously the passion, the mind. There is a chance. It's just that the chances are not as high as people think it would be. But but it's not that impossible. There are gonna be instances. It's not as common as you think it would be. And besides, I'm pretty sure a pack has more than one. I'm sure.
Pretty sure.
And besides, making a baby is a 2-man team. You two got you two agreed to this. You two willingly did it, but you're not willing. But you fail to acknowledge the consequences of said act. Like I know by that point, you should be pointing at each other.
Yeah, you should be pointing probably at each other because there's contraceptives for women and contraceptives for men. So it's not just the men who has to be reliant. Women has their pills. They have their safe days. They know this. It's in their biology. You can't just expect like your partner is going to be alone in an isolated area with you. You're thinking you're not gonna. There's nothing to be expected. Let's say sure, you guys are still innocent as hell. But I know a girl from Japan who had like they were 13. They did it. It's not some kind of like it's not some kind of like BS. It's not some kind of BS. It's actually the girl. The girl was actually the one who wanted it. And she is careful as hell. She's responsible as hell. Like until right now, she's more legal now than she was back then. No, obviously. Because it's just that the first time she started is that when both of them were underage. There was not like the one of them was like older, this more all the jazz. No, both of them are the same age gap, and then now she's more on the legal side. Obviously, she's more responsible. She's more responsible than any type of people who are complaining about saying we should have abortions for people who just wants to have sex without a condom. Like, bro, what is that? It's just like
Bro, that's literally reproduction. What you're expecting, a flat screen TV?
Yeah.
That is, for me, from what I observe, that people who are not discriminating in a way, but what I've observed is that lower income people or lower class tends to have more children compared to the higher class. What do you think is that?
Simple. It's entertaining. Why do people have sex to begin with? Because it naturally feels good for human beings. It's literally part of our biology. Like, why do people have sex? It's because it feels good. And for the people in low income societies, doing the deed is free.
Yeah,
doing the deed itself is free. Yeah, doing the deed itself is free.
And not only that, back then, kasi in like all the other poor in all the other poor countries, why people in the lower class have sex, like for example, this is going way back now. This is going way back. Why people in the lower class have more children? It's just that because they need to. They need to. Back then, kasi there was not like proper medicine. You're not going to get a good child. Not only that, you need more hands. You need hands-on on more. You need hands-on to like farms and whatnot. You need hands-on to people who can contribute jobs and all, who could contribute money, who can bring food on the table. Back then, that was the cause. But as for right now, I think it's somewhat of the same, but they're not doing as much as before. Back then, they were procreating like rabbits, just to get like this child because all the children don't survive. The children don't survive. It's always like 6 out of 10 always only survive. 6 out of 10 survives.
Lower chances of survival.
Yeah, but nowadays people have like
infant mortality. Yeah.
yeah, but like for
Mm.
example, like my cousin, or at least some he's not directly blood related, but he's more of a cousin now. He's not blood related, but
Yeah.
he's his wife and him. They're not in like higher class, or they're not in the happier class. They still have to have they're working for the how do you
Villages.
say? Yeah, just think of barangay as small villages, but they're not like villages where you're like farming or whatnot. Just think about it like
Like a
Villages.
barrio, like a barrio. Is it very remote?
no, it's just no, just think of it as a barangay.
The
It's
city.
just basically a barangay, right? Barangay.
But
There's
smaller
like
than that. Oh, okay.
no, it's not smaller. It's the actual barangay. So he works for the
Okay.
barangay. His wife also works for the barangay. They
Yeah.
they don't have the best financial status, but they have like 5 kids. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah,
Really?
they have 5 kids. They have 5 kids right now. They have 5 kids. My father, who had like has a better job, obviously, and give me and my brother better like upbringing. We have two. We're two each other. We're three. We're three
Mm.
siblings. We're three siblings. With all that issues. Not only that, not only that. It's not that true as well for like um lower class people to have more children. It's just that because I've seen also my cousins who are in the who my cousins from my father's side, which is in a better situation than the cousins on my mother's side, which is a lot poorer. My cousins on my father's side, they have 4 people. Four people.
Yeah.
His brother has 4 children, and his other brother has 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 children as well. And
Mm.
my family has the smallest number of children in my father's side.
The
Uh,
group. Yeah.
yeah. So the thing about why more
Creative.
people from the lower ends have more children is how do I explain it? Yeah, it's basically sexual production. It's just sexual production.
Mhm.
It's just that I know.
Mm.
It's just that people in the higher end can't afford to always do that.
Mm.
Like they're too
I
preoccupied with something
mean,
else. I guess.
another thing I also would also add to that is, due to this day and age of better medicine and healthcare, children are more likely to survive past the age of 5. So even though how poor you are, even though yeah, like people today are poor as rats, but still, due to the grace of modern medicine, they still have a better, higher chance of surviving than they were per se in 1800.
I mean, here's the thing. Here's the funny thing about also lower class people. Obviously one of them is gonna be the family person, right? The person who
The
stays in the
breadwinner.
house. No.
Yeah.
The family person who stays at the house, do all the chores, order the other kids around, all that jazz.
Hmm.
It's gonna be
Mm.
the mother. It's usually gonna be the mother. It's not some kind of like sexist stereotype. It's actually just because of where me and everyone else in this podcast live is
Mm.
we literally noticed that the mother's the person always in the house and the father was the person who's always going out.
Yeah.
If both of you have nothing to do, unlike because my parents, both of them work, and not only that, they work separately, like in a very different job,
Yeah.
and what is the other one going to do? What happens if the father or the breadwinner who does the low end job, who works minimum amount of time, minimum if not as much as no, like normal workers, like the 9 to 5, like the nine
To
to five
five. Yeah.
hour job. What else are they gonna do at the home? About Chihuahua, obviously. They have nothing else
Hmm.
to do. They have nothing
Hmm.
else to do.
No TV, a radio probably, but yeah.
Yeah,
Best you have to entertain yourself some
Mhm.
yeah,
ways.
Hmm.
But
yeah.
that's why
Actually, it's simply
it's so cool.
evolution. It's
Yeah.
evolution. sex was supposed to feel good.
And I'm pretty sure, even though you're at work, your wife is bored at home, so she's probably doing with someone else.
Oh
Yeah,
snap!
man. Well, basically, from what I've observed from the lower classes is that they have. I won't say that it's bad, but they lack education or the
Yeah.
responsibility to have
Yeah,
those certain types of responsibilities that they do.
yeah, they don't
Basically, the
parang
consequences. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
they don't parang know what they have to do. They're most likely
Mhm.
thrown in the deep end without knowing what to do because they have a child and all that they like the only thing that they can do now is either live for the future, or make another batch of
Mm.
Mhm.
make another batch of. Oh, wait, never mind. I'll call up the insult because I was thinking about an insult about children, but then later, no, I'm not gonna call them that. We're on a podcast.
Mm.
Yeah, man. Like it's very different from like people from the middle class and the higher classes. It's just very
Mhm.
different in
Yeah,
worlds, especially
because
because
people
they
watch
they
themselves.
involve they involve more. I wouldn't say discrimination, but they involve more of emotion rather than like logical thinking. Yeah, they do
Yeah.
have logical thinking, but they don't use it as more as
Critically, is that
much
they're trying to go for?
critically. Yeah, critically. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's why they're usually stuck in that realm unless they have this inspiration or that motivation to get out from that social class and pursue a higher one
I
for
mean,
their family.
then again, like social mobility is not impossible, but yeah,
Mm.
it is an upward battle, but it can be done. Like for
Mm.
example, I have relatives talaga who live in the slums, but I think from my mother's side, but let's just say like the people living there is like my mother's side, and it's specifically her aunt, if I'm correct. Let's just say yeah, they literally live in the slums, like those squatter houses that are above water, like yeah, those kind of houses. I
Mm.
know.
The
So let's just
stilts
say,
on stilt.
mm, yeah, on cemented stilts. Surprisingly, goddamn, the squatter here are quite ingenious. I might have to admit. I remember seeing air conditioning units in one of them too. So yeah, back on topic. I don't know, like from what I notice, again, most squatters usually come from the province, right? And they stay in the city and look for work.
Yeah.
And from what I can observe, not everyone near the squatters area are squatters, but some, believe it or not, were former squatters. But due to their own hard work and money, were able to buy the land or at least rent it on where they at. So they are technically official, ano na, official residences already, which is quite possible. But the main problem is with that is with social mobility is that right now the government and like businesses, it's an uphill battle for these guys because there's so many roadblocks in order for a person to move up the social economic ladder. Like for example, if you're going to start a business, it would take you months in order to make your business official.
Yeah.
Most other parts of the world, a single day. Like in
Mm.
most developed parts of the world, it just takes like under a week. In America, Canada, and Europe, probably under a day. So yeah.
Well, it's like yeah. That's why it's like
Hmm.
very. I wouldn't. Yeah, that's why I keep saying like it's discriminatory. But because it's like both different worlds, both different situations. So it's very hard to judge on how people should develop in a way.
Yes,
Like
but then again,
lower.
there's always a common road where people can follow. And
Mm.
on based on statistics, the best way to make the poor, not to make the poor uplifted, is to not rely too much on charity. It's to give them the chance to do work for themselves. That's how you make the poor happy, by
Mm.
making their work much more productive, much more meaningful to them, and to be and for them to be given their just amount and reward. So meaning pay them
Mm.
well and they will work well. But then
I
again,
think
most people don't do that because
no corruption,
yeah,
corruption and stuff.
yeah, like
It really
yeah,
influences.
corruption is constant everywhere in every human institution, business, education, government. It's there. It's a constant. There's nothing you can do really about it.
Mm.
The best thing you can do is minimize, yes, but for how long? Corruption is a growing parasite. You can only cut off so many before you might actually break the foundation itself.
That's why it's like very hard for like the mental psyche of the person to really diverge themselves or move themselves from what is already beneficial for them. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's beneficial for them in a bad way, but can't they just like remove themselves from that bad thing to benefit other people that is in a good way? That it,
In a way, it also depends on culture, because again,
mm,
corruption has been around since the dawn of human civilization. So, if you want to remove corruption from the very root of it, you have to question humanity's humanity's own image itself. We are greedy. We are greedy beings. That's literally part of our nature. It's a morbid morph of our will to survive. That's literally what greed is.
mm, I
Mhm.
get you. I get it. I get it.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, you can educate the populace in order not to be corrupt. You can educate them all of them equally if you can, but you cannot make them learn equally. That's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah, you can teach everyone, but will they learn equally the same thing?
It's
How
the
will
big
you know none
question.
of them would ignore the topics altogether? How would you know that they would just write in just to make you feel like they're learning, but they actually think what you taught them is absolute crap? Yeah, that's the thing.
Well, that even
Yeah,
even in poverty, that's not the only thing in poverty. Even in just like
yeah,
classes, even people who have like a stand, even people who are in speeches, people attend there to either hear what you say, but then later think it's absolute garbage. A lot of people tend to have that, especially speakers, political speakers, social political
yeah,
speakers, all of that jazz. It's very obvious there. So there's certain ways of like how poor people, you could teach them how to think, but will they listen? Probably not. Would they try it?
yeah.
Probably not. It's more or less
Hmm.
it's more or less trying to
At least one person has to disagree with you. At least one person out
Yes.
of 10 has to disagree with you.
Yep.
Yes.
That's literally not, I wouldn't say in the rule, it's a reality. We can't really change that. If you want to change that, you have to remove human free will altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, isn't that like the communist like thinking? Where
Yeah, like,
everybody has to think a certain
yeah,
way
the same
because
way.
of
Yeah.
this person had.
I mean,
So
that's the thing with the authoritative regimes. They want you to think what they think. Like, for example, this goes with every ideology up of the political spectrum that's all the way authoritative. It doesn't matter if you're authoritative left or authoritative right. They all act the same way in terms of making sure the populace follow the status quo.
Mm.
So for example, if you're a communist state, they'll try to keep it communist as much as they can. If it's
Uh,
a fascist or socialist state, they'll make sure the people think in the common status quo. So that's the thing that I hate. Like if you remove the individuality out of society, you'll just have cogs, not human beings.
mm,
Like, and that's the sad part. Like, in our day and age where allegedly our generation upholds individuality as our
yeah.
highest principle, end up following groupthink based ideologies, which disgust me. They say it's for the betterment of all, but then again, you can't guarantee that, because we're not the first generation to undergo this problem, and we won't be the last that would undergo this problem.
Yeah, that is why like the media is really one of the
Full of crap.
points. It's like the gas to the car. You know, it feeds
Or the
on.
bonfire.
Mhm. Or
Or
it's
the
like the fuel.
bonfire.
The fuel.
Yeah. It's the
Like
bonfire, dude.
what the media presents to people. It's
Hmm.
like, oh, the people will just think like, oh, this way is the right way, that way is the wrong way, and your idea is full of crap. It's
Alright, like
wrong.
like for all the people listening, if the media tells you that their worst enemy is possibly your neighbor, you should start questioning what the media is telling you.
Yep.
Like,
Go ahead.
like the
Here's my
Russians,
problem. Here's my problem with
yeah.
the
All right,
media as well. Like, holy Jesus, the media is so like. Not only that, not it's not just that. It's not just that. The media tends to like even ignore important problems that should be notified by that should be posted to the public. But they don't, because it doesn't fit the agenda as well. It doesn't fit the narrative that they're trying to protect. Like for example, in the BLM, like for the BLM movement, the riots, there was a white kid killed by a person of color, since people don't like to call it black guy. Uh,
Mm.
he was killed because he was riding his tricycle across the neighborhood. I don't know the full story, but this is just the gist of it. Like even though if there was like some certain justification, there was no need to shoot a kid. There was no need to shoot the kid, and that's what happened. That's what happened. The reason why the media didn't
Straight up
post it
murder.
because it was straight up murder. The kid didn't have a gun. No one has a gun. People who wanted to remove the guns are there. And not only that, not only that, the media had the audacity not to report the shit about it. Why? Because they were trying to they're trying to
Gain
do
money,
they're trying to profit off of BLM. Not only that, not only that. One of the things that I hate also about the media is that they didn't call certain BLM people rioters. Well, I know that there are BLM people who are doing peaceful, but there are some BLM members that are not peaceful. They're rioting. They're forcing people to stop what they're doing, stop what they're eating, forcing people to get out, forcing them to agree to their own ideology. It's just so bad to experience it. If people have experienced it firsthand, I give you my sympathy. I'm sad for you. And I know that certain people had injuries, and some people even had lost something because of certain groups being radical. It's just it's just so bad.
Yeah, it's
And
just
even
not
the media is
like the
not.
BLM too.
Yeah, it's not just the
It's
BLM.
also other groups, like the
Yeah,
Yeah,
LGBT and
like
also the other groups.
like yeah, like again, like ask the Germans, ask the Russians, and they'll tell you these guys are following their same tactics. Again, groupthink. That's dangerous. AF.
oh, you know what? Also,
Like seriously, like seriously, like why is looting a Nike store going to benefit the people who are oppressed? Why robbing clothes from a Gap store would help, like again, the people you're trying to advocate for? Why
why is
is
burning a
vandalizing?
convenience store is something
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
is a, it's
yeah.
called a convenience store, and you're making it inconvenient for people to get something from that store because it's on fire.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Vandalizing local landmarks of people who you thought were racist. Like that, like
Weren't some weren't.
yeah, some weren't. Like Abraham Lincoln, poor guy.
Oh my goodness. That's
Th-
why it's like really crazy to think about herd mentality. It's really
Yeah,
dangerous.
Oh, you know
Like,
what's
and
one herd mentality that I really didn't like? The idea of Hitler, like all of this jazz. Like for example, Hitler. We all know that he's a bad guy. It's not something. It's
Yeah.
not something stupid. We all know he's a bad guy. And we
Yeah.
all know he was a bad guy. But
Mm.
when people try to do anything negative towards like Hitler and a certain different race, they try to make it paint this as like the just racist thing possible. No, no. No, no. Like for example, the Olympics that was held during World War II, like the Olympics that was held, Hitler believed, obviously Hitler believed that the white people are the superior ones. But then later, when a black person won, the funniest thing about that is that Hitler congratulated the black guy, but the president of the country, which is America, who won that Olympics, the president of America
The
didn't
nation,
even
yeah.
didn't even give a notice, didn't even bat an eye to the guy. Like what? Like I'm just like, and then like even trying. Like one thing I found in like a short on YouTube, I'm pretty sure it originated from TikTok. It was a guy telling that this Hitler was bashing this man, didn't respect the man who won the black man who won the Olympics. Now, no, he gave more respect than ever than the president of your own
he shook
of
his
his own
hand. He
country.
personally shook his
Yeah.
hand, right?
Yeah, I personally shook his hand as well. Meanwhile, the president of his own country didn't do jack shit.
And that's why it's like
Mm.
very different when you grow up in a different kind of society where this and that is different. So you
Yeah,
don't have
history is
to,
complex. It's not supposed to make sense.
Yeah,
A lot
it's
of stuff that
and also
yeah, a lot
history
of,
doesn't mean it's just like, oh, this guy is bad, says the history books, and he's been bad the entire time. No, history is complicated. It's a web. It's a web of
it's a series of events.
it's a web of events. It's a web of events, not series. A series is more it's an easier way to say like this and that and this and that happened. It's like a web of events. You have to actually look in between the intersections of the web of the string to see what they did, what correlated to this, what correlated to that, and it not just because the Hitler was the leader of the Nazis doesn't mean it's like a racist fuck to the black guys. I know he killed the Jews, but you know,
Yeah.
you have to be if you're gonna hate on someone, be at least accurate towards it. Don't
Mhm.
just don't
Rely on
spew-
stereotypes. Don't rely on
don't rely on
stereotypes.
stereotypes. Because
Ironic, isn't it?
yeah. I don't rely on stereotypes, bro. Just because he was a bad guy doesn't mean he did this, you know. Just because he's this skin tone doesn't mean he's this. Oh, holy shit. You know?
that is why it's like research and looking at different sources is a good way of becoming yourself a more powerful person,
Mhm.
especially when you have like two political parties that is opposing to each other. It's very good to have the knowledge of what happened and what the topic is about, and you could use that power to really like change the ideas of both parties. So that is why it's like I really frown upon people who would like just look at one-sided views and never even trying to look at the other side. It's just really bad, man. It's just really
Yeah.
frustrating, especially nowadays.
Yeah,
Oh,
for
yeah.
them it's easier for them. That's the thing. It's easier for them.
Mm.
Like out of 10 people, you tell them to read the book. How many of them would actually read the book from from first page to end?
For 2 to 3 people, probably.
Yeah, exactly. But it's much more easier if you just skim it. Like that's the thing. Humans naturally go for the easier and simpler
Easier
route.
part.
Yeah. And
There's
like
not
this
some
this
joke
isn't
where
really a
people are
fault. Yeah,
lazy.
yeah. Like this isn't really like an individual fault. It's literally in our human psyche.
And
Hmm.
also,
Well, from
for people who are confused, like, why are we talking about like Western politics? I mean, it's seeping into our
It
society.
applies to all. It applies to
Yeah,
all. That's the
it's
thing.
seeping in.
It,
That's the problem.
east west, it doesn't matter. It simply is the reality nowadays in this world of republics, which is again a western political style of government. It applies everywhere nowadays. So yeah,
You
it doesn't
know,
matter. It's not too Western. It's too real.
it's
That's
too
the sad
real.
part. That's the sad part. Like the only route for human prosperity is through our economy, letting people have what they want. Like not again, not this. This isn't meaning the material want. It also refers to like, I know, the intellectual needs of these people or spiritual needs, like going to church, going to or making beautiful arts of work, visiting holy places. You can make people feel good by making sure they do good things. But if you're trying to mold people into, I don't know, if you're trying to mold people into this cohesive, quote unquote, prosperous form, calling it a a dictatorship of the people. Here's the thing: it's still a dictatorship. You're still forcing people to fit into the mold. How is a oppressive mob better than an oppressive individual? Right? It makes no sense.
Why does this sound so familiar?
Like I literally saw a post
Oh, and
made
wait,
made by a
was this a discussion from like a previous podcast? Is that why it sounds familiar?
No, because in my realm of friends, there is this group that always the youth. I won't say the political party, but you know, it's a group where everybody must have a registered vote. Everybody must vote for this so that this won't happen. You know, and those kind of people, yeah, I applaud them for that. Youth for youth and youth for change and stuff. But keep in mind that you're just a small percentage, or you're just like, let's say, 2/3 of the pie, but you have still this bigger population of older generation that believes in certain policies or political stance that is way different, and they grew up on this. It's basically the fight of like the millennials and stuff, and older generation versus the new generation. And with the upcoming elections, man, it's really hard to gauge who would win, especially the political stuff, political upcoming presidents and stuff. It's really hard.
again,
Uh,
you versus the good old them versus us mentality. It applies
yep.
everywhere. Yeah,
It's just that's just this is it.
It's really just frustrating, man.
You know, it's very frustrating. You guys have more political, like it's just more political and active nowadays. I remember back
Mm.
then, where remember when 2016 exists, and then had all this jazz.
Man, everything like from 2010 now, way different. Really way different.
Bro, 2016. I don't know why, but I feel like 2016 was the best year that we'll ever experience.
Oh man, 2016 was it's the right moment when
It felt,
2017 came about.
yeah, which is funny thing. In the 2016, there was something so fucked up that happened, right, Eman? In our school previously in the Middle East. Remember, there was like this cheating incident that happened, and then the entire grade was
oh,
just,
that.
yeah. Dude, I was a victim as much as everyone else there.
I know, like Jesus.
I think who was it? Who was that guy again? We're not gonna name that person. We know him, right? We know him.
Yeah, he was a classmate of mine. Like my
Yeah.
entire class section literally did it.
Oh
Like I
no.
knew it was going on, but I didn't snitch. And boy, that didn't save me any favors with my that didn't save any favors with my teacher or with the people who did it. Like again, I wasn't really asking for favors, but yeah,
Mm.
that's literally what happened.
Yep. And then not only that, we were banned from ever participating from any school events ever from that
Yeah,
year
for
on.
an entire
It
year.
was
Yeah, for an entire
yeah.
year.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for the
it was
entire
that
year.
bad. It was that bad
Wow.
because people don't want to snitch out the real guy. They want to drop the real guy out, which I knew. But then later, I was not involved with the problem in the first place.
Yeah, like I knew my class was cheating, but then again, I don't really know who the ringleaders were. I don't know the full list of names, but let's just say, yeah. What happened was, people airdropped the exams, the answers to the exams to everyone, and it spread like wildfire.
Yeah, and then like the one of the funniest things that I listened to gossips and rumors because I was very active in the social circle. I knew who it was from gossips. I knew who it was. It was just not my place to do it because even if I try to admit it, people would think it's like it was me because back then. Here's what happened to me back then. In
Yeah.
third year, a year before, 2015 was the worst year of my life.
Why?
Because
What
it was
happened?
oh, what happened? What happened there? It was really bad for me because I was assumed to be that to be a person who cheated. I was told to be the guy who
Oh.
not cheated, to stole something, who stole an iPad. I didn't do jack
Wow.
shit. I didn't do jack shit. I didn't do jack shit. The person beside me was lazy enough to rely, not lazy, was so unreliable that she allowed another person to borrow it and expect that person to put it back in the same place, she was my seatmate. I didn't do anything. I was minding my own business. I have my own business. Only problem is that
Yeah.
her iPad, I have two that are better than hers. Why would I need some under my bullshit that like hers? Like my parents really love me, so or my mom and dad love me. I
Yeah.
I can't even believe it myself. Like I was peer pressured into admitting, even though I wasn't the one.
Oh no. That's really
Now
bad.
it was that bad. Yeah, it was that bad, and that's why I didn't want to get involved into anything anymore because of that event. I couldn't trust other people to not full on blame me for it.
Oh no.
I said
That
I'm
really
willing.
gave you like PTSD and stuff.
Dude, I really tried. Like they said, they even tried to involve the cops, and my dad tried to involve the government. Fuck.
The government.
My dad. One thing kasi about my dad, he's an engineer. He's an engineer kasi for the American Army in the Middle East, which was that interesting. It was that interesting. My dad was about to bring the whole school into court. I shit you not. No, that's what happened. He was so
really?
yeah. He was serious. He was so well known in the among the teachers. When we had a PTA meeting, they know him and they fear him.
That's like really crazy.
Yeah, it gotten that bad. It gotten that bad where they tried to victimize the wrong person.
And they blame you for that.
Yeah, they blame me for that. They blame me for that too. Because why? Because I was the seatmate of the person. It's because that they chose my desk to put the
iPad.
to put the you know what they call this. It was my desk where they put it was my seatmate who lost her
Yeah.
iPad, and it was my desk that they put this box where they collect phones, right? You know that when back then in 2016 when they were still collecting phones.
Yeah,
Oh,
because there was a
for
mass,
school.
like in our school. It's aside from the whole no phones in class rule. There's also a large cases of people losing stuff from
Yep.
money all the way
Oh
to
no.
phones and iPads. So yeah,
This is so
there was a
The school,
kleptomaniac in the
the school
loose.
stopped that. The school stopped collecting phones after that incident. Like, why did it have to victimize me for you to stop doing that shit? You're not supposed
Oh
to do
my
it in the
God.
first place.
What kind of school are you guys in? Man,
An
that's
international
really
school, believe it or
Yeah.
not.
Yeah, it's an international school, believe it or not. It's just that they have like this. They have this rules when they brought along in their own country. They brought it into the international
Oh
school.
no, this is some crazy shit. Yeah.
Bro, it was so bad. It was that bad, bro. It was that bad. I remember like sobbing in the vice principal's office because I was being
Imagine that.
interrogated. Yeah, I was being interrogated by the vice principal and then like my level head, the level head teacher, bro. Dude, it was that bad. And then people try to,
Whoa.
and then like imagine like the girl who also who also attended my school,
Yeah.
called me fucking like a girl who I dated who called me immature because of a certain argument we had. Bro, you have to go to what I went through, all right, to make me question everything. I question everything because of what happened, not because of some like stereotypical issues. It's happened.
Uh,
It happened
Yeah,
to me.
like
uh,
bruh, like when I was there, like damn, like things literally went like when things happen in our school. Let's just say it rotates fast, like you really really fast.
oh no. An international school with those kind of like students. Wow.
Yeah. Like again, like it's a Philippine international school, but yeah, we do
It's the
accept some
Philippines.
foreigners here and there. Yeah, like we
I
accept
wonder.
students. Yeah, like we accept students, yeah, from different parts of other nationalities, but yeah, it's a predominantly Filipino school, and
Oh
we
no.
follow the DepEd Ed model by that point.
Oh my
So yeah,
goodness.
like again, they try to maintain this image, and like
Mm.
personally, I had good memories in that school. But yeah, boy, when things went south, like really really south, everyone
Uh,
would hear about it. Everyone would hear about it. It's not really that of a big school, so yeah, word would spread quickly.
oh, I see. I see. 'Cause from what I've remembered when I was like in back in Singapore, uh, I was there for like what 8 years. The schools there were not as
Yeah,
crazy
like
as you
I
guys.
heard they were strict. I heard they were strict.
The only thing that Singapore had was bit of racism, but not so much that you would notice it from my
Oh,
end.
bro. Oh, bro.
But there's
I
racism where we're at. There's racism where we at.
The playground racism that I faced,
Like I'm
bro.
not like I wouldn't say I've been to some attacks, but I have been
yeah.
through some pranks. But again, I'm not really sure if that prank is directed at me because I am Southeast Asian or because I was a kid. Let's just say,
You were just innocent enough to not know.
Bro, I was
yeah,
innocent. Not
because ano eh,
they told me not to climb this this rope monkey bar. But then later, they told me not to do that. Uh, I didn't know why because they said because you are Asian and be like I didn't think
Mm.
about it back then, but I thought about it now.
well, let's just say, let's just say I didn't haven't really talked to foreign kids that much when I was out. But let's
Yeah.
just say I was being pranked on mostly by teenage kids when I was like 10. Like I was being pranked by teenage kids most of the time.
Mm.
And the most common prank, like I go to my dad's place who works in a studio creating photos and taking pictures. Every time when
Yeah.
I'm out, like to get dinner, there's always at least to be like two Arabs in a car honking every time I pass by, and me being the startled kid that I was would jump. So yeah, I'm not sure if they were pranking me because I was Asian or because I was a kid, but either way, it was not
Ima-
cool.
I would just
I mean,
imagine
it's
you.
funny now. It's funny now, but as a 10-year-old kid who doesn't know how the world works, yeah, it's cruel.
Oh yeah, I just imagine you like on a highway. Every time the front car
Oh
honks,
no no no! Like no
just
no
look
no
at
no
the
no
car
no!
behind
It's
was
not in a
like, oh
Harway.
yeah, we could do this.
Oh, it wasn't in a Harway. Like let's just say my dad, no, the studio my dad worked on had a parking lot just across it.
Uh-huh.
So like there's a car like literally right in front of the store, and I was
Uh-huh.
just like walking on the side, getting dinner, and yeah, the two I passed the car with the two Arab kids parking in that lot twice. So yeah, I got jumped twice.
Oh my- I just
Yeah, like
imagine the front car honking at you, and the back car was like, "Oh yeah, let's do this to this kid. Let's see what happens."
no, it only like only one car did it. But then again, the every time I look back and see who did it, it's always like two Arab kids laughing their asses off. I couldn't really blame them because yeah, if I was in that position, I would laugh my ass too. But then again, I was a 10-year-old kid. I didn't know how the world worked.
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't know how the world worked as well, especially internationally. Oh my gosh, bro. Oh, I
We're all
grew up there
stupid
as
when we
well.
were young.
I
We were
grew
all
up there
stupid
as
when we were
well.
young.
I grew up there as well. I love like I said, my dad put me right in the right path. Back then, I used to hated my own kind.
yeah, your own kind.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
reject
yeah,
my
yeah.
nationality, Jojo.
Yeah. It's just that. But then my dad be like, you're still who you are. You're still your nationality. You better stop talking about that type of stuff. And then like,
Yeah, which is
and then
true.
like, yeah, which is true. And then like my dad was like, yeah, my dad's right. Yeah, can't I can't do that shit because I'm like here. Might as well not make it worse. He's a good dad. He's a good dad.
Mm. 'Cause, yeah, from my end is it's like I experienced few bullying parts of my secondary and primary school life. And it was hard at first,
How
but
old are you by that time? To get context.
um get context. Let's say they're 16, and
Ah, okay,
the
okay,
whole
okay.
no. This is just an example. Let's say they're like 10 years old, and the transferee that I am is like around 13 years old. So there's like a 3 year
Ah, I
gap
see.
between.
Ah,
I
I
was
see, I
like
see, I
the
see.
oldest among my batches. It was
Ah,
pretty
that
common
oh,
around.
that thing. I see, I see, I see.
Mhm. But it was pretty common in my world that like you would see like transferees from other parts of the world come there for school and stuff, and there were like different ages. The most was when I was there was like a 4 year gap, 4 to 3 year gap the age. But it was like really cool to have like international people as well to be with and mingle with. But sometimes you always get those kind of people like, hey, he's that kind of race. Let's make fun of him. And it was really bad, especially majority of the people there were like Chinese, and
Oh,
some. I'm not.
oh,
I'm not.
we're Asians, bro. We're Asians. We
Yeah.
all know how bad mainland Chinese can get. If
Yes.
like
Yes,
here's the thing.
man.
In my opinion, um, Chinese people who are raised off China, off the mainland, are one of the nicest people you'd ever meet. But if
Mm.
you meet someone who's from the mainland and grew up there, oh boy.
Anzai bastards.
Like it was cool at first, like to meet people like from different parts of the world, and when you meet these like in like 2016, I think 2016 to 20 and around that era, those gangster shit was really popular, and like especially when they were like really young. There's like this competing
We all been
alpha.
there. We all been
Yeah.
there, dude.
Like, oh, I want to be alpha of this school. And really, most of the bullying was really from the transferees. Were bullied a lot.
Yeah,
And
usually
really, like,
it's the minorities who gets bullied, no matter what color they are, Chinese or
yeah.
white. If they're the minorities of a certain
Mm.
area, they're gonna be bullied.
I,
Funny enough,
especially for each for each race in Singapore, there will be like these groups of people that you would see like especially back in primary school around the age of like 13 down. they're like, oh, I have this gang of like, Chinese, gang of like Indian. Oh, let's see who could be like, no, who could be the alpha in this
Who could be
school.
the human calculator?
Yeah, those kind of like I wouldn't say stereotypes, but you could say that. Yeah, it was really. And overall, it was really fun. School there was really fun.
All right. All right. For us in the Middle East, especially in Qatar, the
Yeah.
expats outnumber the locals, so we don't really have that problem to begin with. In
Yeah.
all
Mm,
actuality, if we met a Qatari who is a Qatari, not he's not an Arab from another state, he's an actual
yeah.
Qatari. They're one of the most nicest people I've ever met. Like seriously, when I was younger, I have an uncle who was a gardener and worked for a sheikh, and I often came with him because no one was kid there to babysit me. You know what they did? I played with the sheikh's daughter, who's around my age
Oh,
at that time. So yeah,
Oh,
they were the most nicest.
as for me,
Yeah,
I played with an American.
I see. And let's
really?
just say this what happened. And this what happened. Ano ba? Um, in my experience,
Uh,
I get bullied more by my own people than I am getting bullied by foreigners. So in
Oh
a way,
yeah,
yeah,
that's for sure, right, Eman?
yeah,
that's
yeah,
true.
Yeah, Eman.
exactly.
Remember all the fun times we had?
Fuck you. Hey, look. Here's the thing. Like when I like to be a major disclaimer. I hadn't had a bully until no, I didn't have a bully until grade 7. Like that's how far I didn't have bullies.
Ah,
Mm,
When
didn't
I
have
met
bullies.
Melvin by grade 8, it's more teasing because, bro, I've been into the brunt end of bullying. What you did to me was teasing at best. I've been through
Yeah,
worse.
obviously, because I don't really bully people. I'm a
Yeah.
dick, yes, but I'm not a bully.
Finally, he accepts.
What do you mean? I've
All
accepted
right,
it
all
for the
right, all right, all
longest
right.
of time. What you
Bro, it's a joke.
mean,
It's a
bro?
joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. Okay. So
What you
either way,
mean?
yeah. So, bruh, we understand it's harsh for you, but yeah, bullying is bullying regardless. It doesn't matter if you're the
yeah.
minority or the majority. Doing the act
Yeah.
itself doesn't change squat.
Mhm. It's true. It's true. So it's like the mistakes we did in the past, they like change us, especially for bullies. Like in the previous podcast, like we talked like how bullies really have something that was in them that they couldn't really understand how to deal with it, and just put that energy onto another person and makes them feel like the way that they feel, the way that is different. You know.
In a way, if you're gonna ask me personally, it's a common stereotype. Again, it's not really
Mm,
that true. Sometimes the bullies that bully you are sometimes top the class, have a better life than you, and literally bully
mm,
you just because you're just unfortunate. You'd be surprised how people can be dicks, even
Like for
though on
example,
paper they're
for
the
example, I
nicest
was
people on earth.
ostracized.
Apparently,
I was
yeah,
ostracized by my own class because I was a little bit different. Like you know how smart boy class. People are smart, right? They have the smart. You go.
yeah,
Some people are smart enough to go to certain. Not to go to certain to. What do you call this? I go to certain class, right? They have a certain like group or class. They belong there because you're smart. You know all of that jazz, right? So
yeah,
I was part of one of that. I was part of one of that. I was that smart where I was part of that class where it's like the science. It's basically the smartest class of the school.
mm,
But I was ostracized because of how the way I interacted with them. I was never I never felt I belong. And not only that, when I told them that, I'd be like, oh, I don't feel like I belong. I feel like they did some bad stuff to me, and it kind of felt like it was bullying. I disclosed that to another person, and then that person gossiped it to that class, to the class. So I didn't even trust any person that I opened up to anymore after that,
oh no.
because what I told you was confidential. confidential shit, what I felt about the class, but it's not my true feelings. So the class even hated me, like it developed hate towards me. So it was just that bad. It was just that bad in my end.
Like how could you done better though?
Oh no,
That kind of situation.
no, we patched things up in the in the late 2008. So we patched things up. Me and that class. Hell, I'm even friends with majority of them now than I was back then.
Oh yeah, like giving people is good step. Good step to becoming a much more better person than you were before.
But there was still this woman who was a dick towards me, and I don't know why. I didn't know what I do. I didn't know what I did, but she was a dick towards me.
Really.
Some people
Yeah.
tend to have a superiority complex, you know?
Yeah.
Like people who think they're not worth your time. Like, yeah, those
Yeah,
people stink.
Eman. Wait, no, just kidding.
Yes.
What the hell do you mean? I've been with you ever since grade 8.
What was that
Eman.
response, man? You seem to be offended.
I have the right to be, damn it. All right, so yeah, again, there's no bad blood. No bad blood.
No bad blood.
Hmm.
Just expired. Wait, what?
People are really, really good if they're able to forgive.
Mm. I mean, yeah, it's
In
nice to
general.
forgive. Yeah, it in general, it's on paper, it is nice to
Yeah.
forgive. But then again, it's your individual choice to do it or not. So again,
Yeah.
like I said last time, if you cannot forgive, then forget instead. That's what I do. I barely remember, like literally, it worked too well for me. I don't even remember a good number of the bullies I had when I was younger. Like I forgot their
That's
names in
not
all
an
honesty.
option for me. I'm cursed. I'm cursed like a computer memory of like what everyone did to me, and I can't forget it
Uh,
anymore.
knowledge is a burden. I know it stinks. Sometimes it's better
Same.
to be
Yeah.
stupid and happy than smart and depressed.
But in a way that if you forgive your like bully and stuff, it really makes them much more better. I think
But then again, yeah, but that's if the bully in question is
that's it.
willing,
Yeah.
is wanting forgiveness to begin with, and is making an effort to forgive themselves.
Mm.
That I could appreciate. But if I'm going to forgive you and you keep repeating the same shtick, then what's the point? As if the past never happened. So yeah, it's
Yes.
better to pretend you don't exist at
To
all.
start with it. And then, yeah.
The answer there is Dormammu. I wish to bargain.
Uh, so then again, yeah, if you can't forgive,
Mm.
forget.
Do you
Simple
forgive your
enough.
exes though?
My
Oh.
ex,
Yeah,
in
Iman
my
only had
honesty,
one. Iman only had one, and it was my ex.
yeah. Look, can I at least talk, dude?
Yeah,
Like in all
sure.
honesty, I would say I pity her more than I forgive her. In all honesty, I pity her mostly.
Same.
Mm.
Again, it's not forgiveness, but yeah, I pity her
I
because
don't know
let's
how
just
she
say she
is
made a
now. I
lot
don't know
of
how she
bad
is now.
choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I don't know
IDK, I
how she is
pretty see
now,
her
but
online anymore.
it's best not to
My-
talk about it. For my exes, there was only one ex that I had good terms with, which was my first girlfriend, who is one of the best I've ever had. Because we
Wow.
were both innocent, we didn't have anything thought about anything. We just did it. We just did it because of our interest to each other, and we shared a lot of our interests towards each other. It was,
That's good.
it was good. It was good.
To a point. Is it good?
It
In
was
good
all
in
good. It
general.
was all good. It was all good.
Because in
It
my
was
end, it was good to a point, but in general, I forgive her. 'Cause, my first was like we were young, you know, could have made things better, but it tends to be that way, or in a way that it would diverge to that. But since we were young, that's what, from my perspective now, I would forgive her. Even though we said like we promised that we would be friends, I still had that, that grudge, grudge like, I wish I wish I should be that guy, or like I wish I should be better, But looking back at it now, it's better to forget what happened than to forgive and to take it in, hold grudges. Why exes are I think it in a relationship point of view, it's like a good way to learn or to benefit from your actions or your ways you could have handled certain situations in life that could have led to a better way, or could have diverged from a standpoint that is beneficial for both. Yeah.
That's everyone in general.
Mm. But,
Don't we all? Like again, don't we all wish that was the case?
I
It's not.
wish though.
It's never gonna be that case, but it's
Uh,
gonna happen one way.
It's never
it's gonna
simple. Like,
happen.
what's the point? Life is never simple to begin with. It's never point A to point
Mm.
B. Sometimes it's point A through a mountain, under the tunnel, then through a scorching fire, then you reach B. Yeah, it's
That's
it's a linear path, but it's not easy.
what I've learned from one of a TikTok, like a psychology TikTok. That they said that there's three kinds of like love that you would experience throughout your life. Most of the time, it works, but it depends on your certain subjective situation. So there are three types of love. So there's like this. They say we love, and the second relationship you would have is like the toxic love. The third relationship that they say the quote unquote true love. So like the first idea of like the puppy love is where the innocence of being like the first like, relationship and stuff is like real surreal, and yeah, you could make mistakes and like invest in this time. You two were like not really sure of what's gonna happen. And second one was like the toxic love, like those times you would argue and like, should have been better, and like arguing and like fighting and more of that nature. And
Yeah.
then they said
What if
like,
drive you crazy, dude? What's the point, right? Look, what
yeah.
if drives us crazy, but that's human nature to always look down at the past. It's a survival instinct.
Hmm. That's why it's like they call it the toxic love, because that's where the point, like judging from the past relationship that you had, the puppy love to the toxic love, this is where you could like have this point of view of like, oh no man, I could have done this better. But there are like these people um I could meet in the future that I just don't know yet. And through those mistakes, I think it's like very beneficial to have those experiences and people to go through that experiences. Because if you go through those certain experiences and move on, you would experience the third kind of love, which is the true love. And they say that those kind of love is like one, quote unquote, the one or the forever, you know? And I do believe that this kind of idea is like, it might work. I would say it could work. No, yeah, that's what I understand from that TikTok. Because it
From that
really
TikTok,
relates. yeah, it really relates for me, especially for the second relationship that I had, which was not.
Mm.
Well, it was
Ideal.
good. Yeah, it wasn't ideal. He wasn't communicating and stuff, and I think there was trust on my end. Communication
I
is
see.
is like a good, how do you call this, foundation to build up the love platform that you will have. Yeah.
Mm. Again, not everyone is as fortunate or has a linear path to love. Again, not everyone is
Yep.
that blessed. You're
Yes.
looking at one right now.
Yep.
That's why it's like it's a good way to experience these kind of like happenings in your life, from the bullying,
Mhm,
racism, true love,
mhm,
and like
mhm,
relationships.
mhm, mhm.
Because if
Just
you
whether
experience,
it's or not, you know.
Mhm.
Just
But
whether or
if you
not do you allow it
experience,
to activate it. Allow it to not activate, affect you.
yeah, just yeah, correct. Like to not like let it affect you, but learn from it and benefit from it. It's like a good way to becoming like a ideal person in life that you would see in the future. And, and one thing I remembered from one of my friends that just got out of a relationship is that I just said to her, like, look, live your life, go do yourself, be happy what you do, and just forget about the past relationship that you had, and just let everything fall. You know, because
Mhm.
you're still college.
Yep.
You still have like a few more years to graduate and like have a good life.
Yeah, like
And
again, a lot of things can happen in 1 year, but due to the current situation in the country, we barely get out anyway. So,
yeah, so like
Yeah.
go do yourself and have like something that you could do and benefit from that. And you
Mhm,
won't know, like, especially I would say if it's a girl, have more chances of like getting into a relationship rather than a guy into another relationship.
mhm,
Yep.
mhm.
Because girls are much, I would say, much better socially than than guys.
Let's say they get a partner a lot easier than men could.
Mm.
Mhm,
That's what I said too. Just let everything fall, and you would have
mhm,
like this ideal guy that you would have. Those emotional like obstacles that she had recently, to like really to foreseen. It's really like
mhm.
I won't say like it's like she would see it immediately. I hope that she understands what I'm getting at.
Yeah. Again, we can't really expect people to not to do the things we want them to.
Mm.
Like that's impossible to begin with. But then we can always hope. Like that's the fault between us human beings. We think things would fall like dominoes, but we forget the variables outside of our control. So
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
like if even though you try hardest to try to explain to I don't know as clear as you want to people, there's always be that at least one guy who takes it completely off. So we have to be open to failure.
Yeah.
Like yeah, yeah. I'm sorry to sound pessimistic, but no. But I'm not saying that no, you won't help people. I'm just saying that be open to the fact that you can't help everyone. That's what I'm just trying to say.
Yeah.
That
I'm sorry
itself
to sound
is.
utilitarian, but that's reality. I really wish it wasn't, but I am.
But here
But I
we
am
are.
here, living
But
it.
Here
here
we
we
Yeah,
are.
are.
yeah, exactly. Like
That
the Buddha said, living is suffering. We can't really do much about it.
is why like Jordan Peterson, like Melvin's like inspiration. like a
Yep.
really big help, especially when it comes to like ideation of relationships and the man and the woman. You know,
Yep.
Mhm. Mhm.
remember my first ex. After that, I really like really need the inspiration, and I just looked up on YouTube like, oh, it's inspiration or motivation or this and that. And you know what? The first thing comes out, Jordan Peterson.
Yes.
I
The Lord Himself.
And so it was written, and so it shall be done.
And so it
You
is
know,
written in the texts and archives of man. Jordan Peterson shall be the first person to arrive to you in times of need.
Uh, I mean, like Jordan Peterson knows what he's doing. He is a psychologist himself.
being like people oriented course is really interesting, and what makes it more interesting is that how people think and how they would perceive the problem that they have and how they could like benefit from what we said could potentially save their lives. You know?
Preach, brother.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
In the end, what kind of psych do you want?
Hmm. That's actually a very good question. Because I haven't decided yet. I have decided all I wanted to do was just to finish my studies. I haven't thought much
Mm.
about it further, but I do really want to help people. Maybe as someone teenagers nowadays they need someone to talk to. Especially I know that there are some people back then. Kasi even though I've already like praised my parents for being this good of a people, but back then I couldn't open up to them. So I want to be someone to I want to be someone who could be who could be opened up to by by teenagers. Because I had that problem, might as well help people who had a similar problem as I did.
Makes it more easier to understand them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. I mean, for us, we're
Because
trying as much as like for like what we're trying to do with our younger years. We're trying to do that, but then again, due to the quarantine, we can't personally talk to these guys. I doubt that everyone in the younger years, like in the newest year of FS, we doubt these people even know each other. So yeah, it's
yeah,
quite difficult. It's quite difficult to to talk to these guys simply because we don't even know who these guys are. We don't even know how they look like. So yeah, that's the sad
diba,
part. Yeah,
diba, FS people or the foreign service people, especially the community in that school is really like really close,
yeah.
diba?
In the entire Western Visayas, we're the only people who does the course. So yeah, and only one section in said course. So yeah, no one has really heard of us, and there's only like only a few people who do the stuff we do. Because again, people confuse us for Anoy. People confuse us for tourism, and like if you're asked a nobody, they're gonna say, "Are you part of tourism?" Like if I had a nickel every time I heard that.
Isn't that like a low key insult? Like,
Yeah, so
tourism.
they're stereotyping it basically.
Yeah, like that's the thing. But I can't really blame them for being ignorant of what the course is. But then again, it's I can't really blame people for, for not knowing these kind of stuff. That's literally how things are.
Because like the course is like relatively new, diba?
Yeah, like it only started in the early 2000s, from what I know. The course itself, like in terms of graduates of FS, I am aware that there are at least two school years worth, I think, na graduates.
So uh, there's like a board for this,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah, I mean
PRC board.
there's no, it's not necessarily a board, but we have something called an FSO exam. It's the foreign service exam. Like this exam tells whether or not we can work for the DFA in Manila. If we pass that, if we pass that test, we work in the DFA in Manila, like the main headquarters in Manila. Then then we go to then we are deployed as officials of the DFA, and we can work our ranks up from that point on.
You would see Ambassador Eman somewhere
I
in the Middle
mean,
East.
that is what my goal is, to at least to work in Middle Eastern affairs.
Yeah.
I still consider the Middle East my home. It's what I know best.
Yeah, and Iman, I might be also going to the Middle East this year. Yeah, yeah. I'll
God
follow
damn it.
you. I'll follow
You're
you. You can't get rid of me that easily, boy.
Bro, if I wanted to get away from you, I wouldn't be in Discord with you at the moment. I miss you, you fucker. You really think the worst of me, don't you?
I think the worst about everyone.
You would see Melvin in some like HR
Mhm,
in
mhm,
the embassy and stuff.
mhm.
No,
Hmm. Eman, you're
once
here again.
once he lies asleep in his bed, he sees me in the corner of his room, like stuck to the ceiling, be like, "Hey, man."
God damn you.
He's ruining your psyche.
I'm a psychologist. I know how to ruin psyches as well.
Like literally, like you're in my peripherals as I goddamn go to sleep like goddamn Slender Man. You're there a second and now you're gone. But
Uh,
yeah, that's my course. If I pass the FSO exam, I'm planning to work in the Middle East. Uh, After a few years, like deployment in the. Here's the fun fact about the deployment in the DFA. Your deployment lasts 6 years, no matter your rank in the DFA.
that's really wrong.
Yeah, so like nearly half a decade you're there abroad, and I want and I don't know, like by the time I graduate and take the FSO exam, so like I'll be like I don't know, just reaching 30. That's quite young
Yeah.
in the DFA. The youngest members in DFA are 30. The eldest are like 60. Like the ambassador, like do you know the average age of Philippine ambassadors across the world?
But
50, and the retirement
oh,
age
that's
is 60.
really young. Really
Yeah,
young.
yeah. But then again,
It's
it's a
like
long
what
term
they need.
job. It's a long term job.
Mm,
Like, oh yeah, like I wish I was able to speak up then during the whole inspiration thing and why I become a diplomat. Again, I think I said this on the last stream, but for those who weren't there, I would say the main reason why I want to become a diplomat is due to two influences. One is to a cousin I have who went on the same course, who's my senior at the moment. She graduated already, but hasn't taken the FSO exam yet because you need 2 years of work experience before you can take it.
Mhm.
And for me, the other inspiration was I personally befriended the Bruneian ambassador to Qatar, and I've been to his residence. And boy, it was packed with souvenirs, a karaoke machine, and all that jazz. He told me of his adventures. He told me on what he has done, what the representative of Brunei has been doing. I see his photos, him being in Iran, in Oman, and all that jazz. So yeah, I
Mm.
want to be like him. Like I want to travel the world and stuff like that. I want to
gave
see
you
the
a
world.
karaoke machine.
Like here's the thing, like from what he told
That's
me
funny, man.
and what my teachers told me on the pastime of diplomats, the favorite pastime of diplomats are the following three: drinking, karaoke, and golf.
Oh my
In that order.
Drinking, karaoke, then golf. So you're drunk
god.
golfing.
Yes.
I mean, if you're in a Muslim country, of course there's no drinking, but yeah, it's quite common. It's quite common for diplomats to drink.
Yep.
Like I might
Mm.
go. I would love to go to Europe to be stationed there.
So that's why Iman became a diplomat for the alcohol.
Bruh,
Ah.
I don't drink. I'm just
He
saying that's
moved all the
literally the.
way.
But yeah, that's the pastime of diplomats usually.
I would see Eman like, can I order like 12 cases of beer? Put that on the country's tab.
On the rocks, thanks, honey.
on the on the voters legislation.
But yeah, like that's
Yeah.
what the stuff usually, I want to do. Travel the world, meet different people. Eh, IDK really. Find my purpose in life. That's really what
Mm.
I only want.
What about you, Melvin?
My purpose in life
Yeah, how do you see as a psychologist your purpose of life?
as a purpose of life. I think it's just more or less to help people. That's about it. Just to help people understand themselves, help people understand each other. Just
Mm.
all that jazz. Yeah.
Like what I like from like psychology and stuff is how the human mind works, how we could interact and not really like manipulate, but how we could study some mind because mind is really like complex and stuff. So
Hmm.
it's a lot of learning in that field. I really applaud like psychologists and stuff like therapists like involving themselves into really difficult uh, patients scenarios where there's not really a cure for that. 'Cause mental health is no joke.
Yeah, it's no joke. It's no joke. It really forces people to do some stupid things, stupid stuff. If they are thinking
Uh,
that negatively about one another. Yeah, and that's what happened to me, and all the jazz. At the end of
mm.
the day, look where I am now. Psychology trying to help people. There we go. It went full circle, man. Full circle. If it helps, it helps. If it don't, it don't. Then you're the next best. Then all you can do is the next best thing. That's people underestimate that word. Do the next best thing. They always underestimate that word.
Mm-hmm. Again, your plans aren't always linear
Yeah.
or easy. It's
And
simple, but never easy.
Alvin, do you have any shout outs or like socials that anyone could follow?
shout outs. Oh.
You can
Yeah.
do shout outs. You have
Instagram,
Alright.
like
Twitter
Alright.
account.
Alright. Alright.
Twitter
You can
accounts.
follow me on youtube.com. Just get done. I don't have anything. Am I that confident with my ability to talk? Yeah, maybe actually. I remember, but I'm lazy, so I don't have anything.
Mm. Have any shout outs before we end?
Shout outs. Shout out to my boy Bobby Rick. Just kidding. Now.
Who is Bobby Rick?
I have nothing. I have nothing in mind.
All right. Do you have any socials that anyone could follow?
No. People don't need to follow my socials. I'm not even that active in my own socials.
Mm. Come on,
Just
The same goes for me. It's the usual.
as usual, yeah.
how
Right,
about this? People can contact me. People can contact me on Discord. The name is Novice, capital N. Then the code beside it is 7087. That's in Discord. If anyone wants to message me there, message me there. I'll get to those messages sometime. But yeah, if anyone wants to contact me, there it's just there.
All right. We could do that. And with that, we could cut. Nice.
Nice. And then JM was not
Nice.
recording the entire time. Oh
No,
Oh,
he
no.
recorded it and the file
Dear
got corrupted.
Dear God.
That's a 1-2 punch if I ever thought of one.